Our topic for today is resolve that animals be used for scientific or commercial testing for medical treatment. To the Board of Judges, to my dear teachers, and to afternoon. We are here to witness the different presentations. We know that each of them are prepared to share and defend their knowledge for us to encourage, to support their ideas. With the topic, resolve that animals be used for scientific or commercial testing for medical treatment. Let me present you the debaters. In my right side, this is the pro side, and in my left side, this is the con side. To present the debaters, they will only have 5 minutes to defend or present their topics. So now, let us listen to their debates. Presenter number 1 in pro sides, Miss Guro21. Let's give her a round of applause, please.
Good afternoon. Animal testing has contributed to many life-saving cures and treatments. The California Biomedical Research Association states that nearly every medical breakthrough in the last 100 years has resulted from research using animals. Experiments in which the dogs had their pancreases removed and lead directly to the discovery of insulin, critical to saving the lives of diabetics. The polio vaccine, which tested on animals and reduced the global occurrence of the disease from 350,000 cases in 1988 to 223 cases in 2012. And also, according to Chris Abbey, the director of University of Texas MD Anderson Cancer Center for Animal Facility states that without chimpanzees, we cannot have a vaccine. And he says that the use of genes is our best hope for finding a vaccine for hepatitis C that kills 15,000 Americans annually. If we wouldn't use animals as our experiments or models, who should be? Humans? Is it much more inhuman and cruel? That's all.
Thank you, presenter number 1. So now, let us hear to the presenter number 1 in con side, Miss Diana Grace M. Basong. Let's give her a round of applause.
Good afternoon. I get your idea, presenter number 1 from pro side. But animal testing is cruel and inhuman because according to Human Society International, animals being used in experiments are commonly subjected to forced feeding, forced inhalation, food and water deprivation, the prolonged periods of physical restraint, the infliction of burns and wounds to study its effects, the infliction of pain to study its remedies and effects, killing carbon dioxide asphyxiation, neck breaking, decapitation, or other means. The commonly used LD50, or what we know lethal dose 50 test, involves finding out which dose of a chemical will kill 50% of the animals being used in experiments. According to U.S. Department of Agriculture, or USDA, reported in 2010 that 97,123 animals are being killed and suffer pain during experiments while being given no anesthesia for relief. Thus, these animals are being confined in barren cages and they are being traumatized and tortured. 95% of the animals being used in experiments are not protected by the Federal Animal Welfare Act, or AWA.
Thank you, presenter number 1. So now, let us hear to the idea of the presenter number 2 in pro side, Miss General Paluay. Let's give her a round of applause.
Well, animal testing should be a possible thing to do. Should be applied because there is no allocate alternative to testing in a living whole body system. Living systems like human beings and animals are completely complex. Studying in a total dash is effective but sometimes useful. It doesn't provide the opportunity to study interrelated processes occurring in the central nervous system, endocrine system, and immune system. evaluating a drug's for side effects is occurring in the circulatory system to pass the truth. Testing method is not really effective, as computer models can only be reliable if accurate information gleaned from animal research. So, animal research is the one and only thing that is conducted to build the model. So, as we look forward, the animal testing is more effective than the alternative testing method. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, presenter number 2. So now, let us hear to the idea of Miss Caitlin Harportas in Conside. Let's give her a round of applause.
Good afternoon. You said your idea very well, presenter number 2 in Proside, but animals are very different from human being and therefore make poor test subject. In vitro or in glass testing, such as studying cell cultures in petri dish, can produce more relevant results than animal testing because human calls can be used. Microdosing, the administering of dose too small to cause advertising reactions, can be used in human volunteers whose blood is then analyzed. Artificial human skin can be used such as commercially available product, Epiderm and Finsert is made from chips of human skin cells grown in test tubes, plastic wells, and can produce more useful results than testing chemicals on animal skin. Microfluidic chips or organ on a chips, which are lined with human cells and recreate the functions of human organs, are in advanced stages of development. Computer models, such as virtual reconstructions or human molecules, can predict the toxicity of substances without unsafe experiments on animals. Thank you.
Presenter number 2. So now, let us hear to the idea of the presenter number 3 in Proside, Miss Barbie Giselle Estrologo. Let's give her a round of applause.
Your ideas are right, but in main ways. According to animal testing conducted by Procon organization, chimpanzees share 99% of their DNA to humans, and mice 98% genetically similar to humans. All mammals, including humans, are descendants from common ancestors, and all have the same set of organs, like heart, lungs, kidneys, and etc., that functions the same way with a human, because animals and humans are biologically similar. Thank you.
Thank you, presenter number 3. So now, let us listen to the presenter number 3 in Conside, Miss Laika Faith Alojado. Let's give her a round of applause.
Good afternoon. You said your idea very well, presenter number 3, and I get it. But animals are very different from human beings and therefore make poor test subjects. The anatomic, metabolic, and cellular differences between animals and people make animals poor models for human beings. Paul Forlong, professor of clinical neuroimaging of Aston University, states that it's very hard to create an animal model that even equates to what we're trying to achieve in the human. Thomas Hartung, professor of evidence-based toxicology at Johns Hopkins, argues for alternatives to animal testing because we are not 17-kilogram rats. Thank you.
So now, let us hear to the rebuttals from the both sides. Let's start with the Consides.
Good afternoon, everyone. I will raise my question to speaker number 2. You have cited that all your idea was based on United States of America. Is it applicable here in the Philippines, or can we do it here in the Philippines? Prove your answer.
Yes, thank you for your question. And my answer is yes. It is applicable here in Philippines to conduct such kinds of research and experimentations. Because I know that our country can afford to build such big laboratories to conduct a research. And I know that if our bonds are joined together, we can make things possible and we can achieve what we want to achieve.
I have a follow-up question. So, it is applicable, but are you really sure that the people here in the Philippines would really like to have that kind of testing?
Yes, because it is applicable here in the Philippines, and I know that all of the Filipinos will going to agree. Because this is to discover new things and cures for the diseases rather, that is hard to solve. Yet I know the beneficiaries will be the Filipino also.
I will raise this question to speaker number 1 in account bank. And a while ago you said that animal testing is cruel and inhumane. Then why not test it in human being?
Because if we use humans as the test subjects for the experiments, the chemicals that are used in the experiments are the higher potential to kill a being, because it is more cruel and because it has a lot of components rather that might kill a being. And also, if we use humans as the test subjects, it is more cruel and inhuman.
Then if we cannot use both of animals and humans for experiment testing, then what will be used?
None. The choice isn't between animals and humans, because we cannot sure that the drugs used in experiments are safe because they are being tested on animals. Rather, results from animal testing may lead us to vulnerable exposure to the dangerous drugs that may cause us serious side effects.
Good afternoon. I will raise this question to speaker number 2 from the front side. If you are scientists, could you ever stand your idea even if the animals that you are using in the testing could become endangered, such as chimpanzee?
Precisely, yes, Miss Patty. As I proved that animal testing is more informative, reliable, and effective than alternative testing method. So, as a good scientist, it is impossible that having an animal testing method can cause the number of animals into endangered. It is simply because the animal source are governed by council directive, which is the animals requires to be specially bred. So, that proves that the animal testing is safe. And as a professional, I always take the rules and laws that being implemented by the government. That's all.
I have a follow-up.
I'm sorry.
Then, how can you ensure that animals are really safe and protected by law and not illegally captured and used for medical research?
I can assure that because I am a scientist. I am under control of the government. So, in animal testing, there are some rules, guidelines, and permits that the animals should be safe to use also. So, as I say, we are under control of the government. This proves that there is an act, the Animal Action Act of 1988. That's all. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I will raise this question to the speaker number 2 from the side. You have said a while ago that epiderm and insert are made from sheets of human skin cells. Why do we still keep using humans as samples while there are animals that always available all the time?
Because as you can see, there are some cells of the human that animals don't have. That's why we need the humans for an experiment.
You're right, but here's my follow-up question. We all know that life of a person is valuable in the eye of God. So why do you keep killing and experimenting the bodies of human even if it is dead?
Well, to tell you frankly, Jennifer Islaban, we use an experiment as a human without their lives. Or as we say, they will pass away or death. We don't have to right to kill a human being. That's why we need the humans to an experiment by its death or it has been passed away.
So, if you use the dead body as samples, how can you prove or how can you say that it is effective or useful?
It depends on how the experiment well gone. Because if we do an experiment, you can't even know whether it's good, be or bad. That's why we do an experiment to know that it is a right thing or it is a bad thing.
Then cite me some examples of a right thing and a bad thing.
And it's that your question. My answer will go this way. If we do the right thing, if we experiment some example like human, if it is a right thing, the experiment will go right. And if it is wrong, we will stop the experiment. If it is not good to have a human body, to have an experiment.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I will raise this question to the speaker number 3 from the pro side. Should the use of animal in research be a mandatory part of a modern progressive in science?
Yes, currently, because
Animals is a compulsory use for the testing.
and if researchers use humans, it would be very difficult for them to find a voluntary or willing. And aside from that, would you consider that our co-human will be used for testing instead? I'm sure you would disagree, right, judges? Thank you.
Good afternoon. I will raise my question to speaker number 8 from the conside. Based on our studies, humans and animals are related to each other, especially the chimpanzee. Then, how can you say that animals are very different from human beings and therefore make a portrait subject?
Thank you. Humans and animals are different from each other because we humans are superior to them. We have abilities that makes animals unequal to us. And by that, we have capacity to research and develop alternatives that are more humane. So I insist that animals should not be subjected to pain, suffering, and testing because non-human animals, I should say, are imperfect analogs for human body.
Do you think it is enough for medical treatment without using some living thing, specifically the animals?
Yes, we still have technologies that can help us. For example, instead of animal testing, we still can use human scans.
Do you think technology can do all things such as medical treatment? And how can you say that? Can you give me some examples as a proof that technology is enough?
As what I have said a while ago, I already mentioned instead using animal testing, we still can use human scans. And that is an example of technology that we have these days.
Thank you, debaters. So now, let's hear the conclusion from the both sides. Let's start with the pro side.
Based on the deliberation statement from the pro side, I still insist that animals are appropriate for medical treatment. We should use animals for scientific or commercial testing for medical treatment so we could be able to discover new things that can cure and treat the different kinds of disease. Experimenting with animals is better than experimenting using humans. It is difficult to us to use humans as our testing, even if it is scientific or commercial. Because we, the humans, are created by God. And it is painful for us to kill our co-human. So, in that, we should use animals for scientific commercial testing. Thank you.
Me and my companions still insist that animal testing should be banned or is not allowed to be used in experiments and testing because if we continue on using animals, then they should not be subjected to pain, suffering, and testing. Instead, we should treat them with love and kindness because maybe someday or in the next generation, animals will become endangered species or vanish in the Earth's image. Thank you.
To our board of judges, dear teacher, and fellow students, good afternoon. I go with the pro side because I know it is hard to stand in the front, but they do their best to deliver their idea clearly that help us to learn more. Actually, I agree to their idea because this person here, we need to use animal for experimentation so that we can make medicine for the human health problem. So far, so good. I like the result of debate. Both of you are good debaters. So good luck. Hope you will learn more. Thank you.
To our honorable judges, good afternoon. I go with the con side because I believe that they actually win because based on my observation, they delivered very well. They speak clearly and loud, and their idea was all about not using animals as test subjects for experimentation, and I agree with that because according to my research, more than 90% of cosmetics and personal products companies worldwide do not test ingredients or final products of animals. That's all. Thank you.
Good afternoon, judges, my fellow students. Hi bro. Did you speak early and loud? And then you choke. In my mind, I don't know where the statement is correct. But in my heart, I go with the pro side. Guys, congrats. The both of you has a good performance.